In 1996, Mrs. Ruth Smith, she's 72 years old. She walks into her local Buick dealership looking to buy the very last new car she's ever going to buy. Now, Mrs. Smith, she knows the value of a dollar. She's 72 years old. She grew up during the Great Depression. She's not going to spend any more than she has to. And sitting on the showroom floor at that Long Island dealership is this car, a 1996 Buick Regal Custom. It's the base model Regal. It's also the price leader for Buick in the midsize market. She owns and cherishes this car for the next 24 years. Fast forward to 2 months ago, she's now 96 years old. She's no longer able to drive, and she decides to donate this car to charity. And that's where I bought it. I bought it from the local charity auction in North Philly. Now, I've gotten some bad luck there before, but this is a different kind of car, a different kind of luck. I turned the corner, no more bags of shame, and this is what I brought home. Yeah, I know. I decided to go back to that same auction that boned me on that last car, but this time, I promise, I got a good one. Let me show you around. This Regal is built on the W body platform. It's GM's midsize offering that they just rebadged and re-engineered for each different brand. Think of the Pontiac Grand Prix, the Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme, Chevy Lumina. This is Buick's offering, the Regal. I've always adored how these look on the front. I mean, those headlights and the grille, I thought they just nailed it. They did such a great job. And look how clean and clear those headlights are. This thing has obviously been cared for in garage its entire life. This is the final year for the third generation Regal. In 1997, they moved over to a different body style that just exemplified the pedestrian styling of these cars. You can see the swoop here in the greenhouse, and that's typical W body cars from this era. I also really like the brake lights on this car. There's 4 light up panels on each side. The outer 2 are your brake lights. The inners are your running lights. If you look at the backup lights though, you can see something different and weird going on with the 2. You can see the reflectors on this side. You cannot see the reflector on that side. When I picked this car up from the auction, the passenger side brake light was filled with water. I pulled it off the body, I drained the water out. I don't know if that's just water residue that's messing up the clarity of the lens, but you could definitely see a difference between the 2. And moving on to the passenger side, you got a power antenna that goes up and down, works fine. You have nearly new tires all the way around, and this car is just as stunning on the passenger side as the driver's side. However, Mrs. Smith struggled a little bit navigating the garage. Look at that. And right here, there's a little ding right there. Probably a rock chip instead. Little scratch right here. But over here is where it really shows. Right there on that piece of molding. But honestly, for a 24-year-old car, that is nothing. Take a look at the inside. When I said earlier this is the base Buick Regal, I'm not kidding. Look, cloth seats, no center console, split bench, beige, and beige. On the door panels, you have some padding up here for your elbow, which is nice. Power windows, power locks. Pretty standard, right? For any car, you would think. I like that it has the park and brake on the floor, which is kind of cool. You do get a center armrest, and that center armrest, when you flip it down, you have a nice soft spot to put your elbow. If you flip it open, you have the only cup holder in the whole car, and you flip that over and you push the cup down, and it's big enough to hold a soda can. In here, Mrs. Ruth Smith left her favorite music, obviously, from, you got Merle Haggard, James Galway, is that what that is? Julio, of course, you need that. And the best of Liberace. Mel Tillis, I might keep that one. Henry Mancini, never heard of him. There's one cassette that's held prisoner inside the cassette player. I'm betting the belt broke and it's locked in there. And I presume it's this guy, the Ray Charles Singer's Command Performance, which I presume is going to stay with the car. I think I'd like to try to find a way of getting this music back to Miss Ruth. I'm sure it's something she would enjoy and appreciate getting back in her hands again. Back to the interior of the car. In the center section, down below is the stereo system, which actually sounds really good. I'm surprised by how good that sounds. A very simple climate control system. This is the sweet spot on this car. This is what drove me to bid on it. Look at that mileage. And I put about 500 miles on this car already in a couple weeks that I've owned it. This thing is a treat to drive. Up above, you do get an overhead bin to put things in. However, whatever you put in here just flies right out every time you hit the gas pedal. You got some courtesy lights. You get a mirror on the sun visor. You get a sunshade coming out of each sun visor. Look at that, kind of cool. The steering wheel's pretty odd. You see the top third, it's this real skinny rim, like something you would get from the 50s or 60s automobiles. In the middle, it's this thick, meaty grip to give you that sports car feeling. And the bottom third is somewhat of like an in-between between the two. On the left of the steering wheel, you have cruise control, and below that is your headlight controls. I think that skinny steering wheel at the top is kind of a nod to who the Buick buyer was at the time. But the dyno ride above the headlight controls cracks me up simply because it's like a throwback to the 50s and 60s when the marketing guys came up with some cool and neat and really creative names for different features of their cars. For instance, Chrysler called their front suspension the Torsion Air Ride suspension. Chevy had the Power Glide transmission with the turbojet engines, and of course, Buick with the dyno ride. Out back, you get nothing more than the basics. There is no second zone climate control, there's no air vents, there's no center armrest. There are door pockets, and you do of course get an ashtray because it's a 96 Buick. Under the hood, 3.8 liter Series 2 V6 engine making 200 horsepower. Some sources call it 205. Regardless, this is clean and smooth and fluid, and some people call it the best engine GM ever made. In the trunk, nothing, literally. There's really nothing down here. Underneath the floor is the spare tire. I took off the front license plate tray when I first got the car, but there's no pass-through, there's no bins, there's no pockets, there's no hold-downs, nothing back here, just big open space. So why don't we hop in, we'll go for a drive, I'll tell you a little more about the car and what my plans are. This engine is so incredibly smooth and quiet. Sometimes I have to look down at the tachometer to see if it's even running. It starts instantly, no cranking, no spinning the engine. As soon as you touch the key, boom, it's running. The first impressions with getting in is low. The car is small, it really is. It's categorized as a mid-size, but it feels much smaller than that. I can reach over and touch the door panel over there. You get more than 2 people in here, you start feeling cramped. You sit kind of low. The power seats really help give you some adjustment, some angle, some movement. But really, it's a bench seat. It's soft and cushy. It's kind of what you expect from a Buick. The ride on this car, though, is smooth. I mean, as smooth as a W-body car could possibly be. And it certainly helps being super low miles, super clean, super well cared for, and maintained, too. The last oil change on this car, 2 months ago. That's how well it's been maintained over the years. Even though it was being auctioned off, she still found a way to send this thing out for service, get it maintained and cared for. There are some weird quirks and unusual things that you get with this car that I suspect it's just typical GM. For instance, when you move forward, there's a creak in the seat. The gas pedal is behind the brake pedal, only by a couple inches. However, when you lift your foot off the gas pedal, sometimes my foot gets caught on the underside of the brake pedal, which is odd and unusual, a little unnerving at the first time that happened. The radio's in an odd spot in that it's down low on the dash. However, it's super convenient and easy just to slide your arm off the armrest to the radio to adjust the volume or the tuning or the stations. However, because it's down low, you have to take your eyes off the road, you have to look down, you have to see what you're doing. Also, the radio is somewhat hindered in view by the gear shift knob. The way it flies down off the dash, it comes down, it kind of blocks a little bit of the controls. Same thing with the cruise control that's sitting on the left stalk here. The very first time I went to use it, it's hidden by the steering wheel. You can't see it because of the spoke. You're shifting around like this, trying to see the controls on it. It's very intuitive the very first time you use it, but until you use it, you really don't know how the controls work, what buttons to push, and until you start searching around, looking around, taking your eyes off the road again. The car is smooth and quiet. It's 200 horsepower, which really is nice. It really makes this car a pleasure to drive. It's fast and it's effortless on the highway. It keeps up with traffic just fine. So here's the real deal with this car. I bought this car for almost $2,500. Now, I paid a lot less than that for the car, but this auction has a way of boning you with fees, whether it's a buyer's fee or an internet fee. A payment fee? Yeah, that's a new level of uncoolness right there. To pay a fee to make a payment makes no sense, but they charge it. I had to go up and get it, rent a truck, a trailer, fuel, mileage, whatever, I'm right about $2,500, which is a fine price. It's not overly priced, it's not underpriced. It's about average, you would think, for this car. I looked up on eBay, and there was a similar car, same year, same color, same spec as this, a little more miles at, I think, 44,000, had a dent in the fender, sold for $2,400. So I used that as a benchmark on the max I want to pay for this car. Now, I think this car is valued a little more than that, simply because the miles are exceedingly low and the condition is exceedingly good. I think it's valued somewhere around $3,000 or so, but I bought this car to drive and to keep throughout the winter. I was going to sell it in the spring, but since I bought that Dodge Charger at the auction, this has to go. I'm not going to keep this car and keep the Charger and just keep piling more cars in the driveway. So I decided that this is going to go. I figured, what's a fair price? Somewhere between $2,400 on that eBay car, $3,000 what I think it's valued at. If we split that right in the middle, could I find a buyer for this car quick and easy? Could I get somebody a really good car at a really nice price that's bound to last for years to come? And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to sell this car. If any of you guys are interested in buying this car for, what, like $2,650, $2,700, hit me up and let me know on my Facebook page. It's East Coast Classics on Facebook. Let me know if you're interested and you can buy the car. Otherwise, I'm going to go to Cars and Bids. It's already been accepted. They already agreed to taking this car, and it's going to go into their low price category, and it'll sell no reserve in a week or two from now. So that's my 1996 Buick Regal. That's my big win at the charity auction, whatever. And there are my plans. I hope you enjoyed the car. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time.